Hello, welcome back, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Zaya. It is that time of the summer when back to school ads start coming on and a lot of people start thinking of what they're gonna buy to get them through the next school year. A question that I had, and I know that a lot of people do have, is the dilemma on whether to buy a tablet or a laptop for school, particularly college. This is especially an issue in the Apple ecosystem because they don't offer a hybrid device like Microsoft does with their entire Surface line. So it is definitely something that you have to pick one or the other. So today I'm actually going to be comparing the iPad Pro to the MacBook Pro and kind of sharing my experience on using it for school and also how I use them for school, and ultimately share my recommendations on which one you should purchase for this upcoming school year. I'm not really going to dive too far into the specs of each one. Essentially, comparing the specs between the two is like comparing apples to oranges. They're two totally different operating systems. I'm just going to look at this more as how they perform in the classroom for simple tasks like note-taking, looking at documents, or taking quizzes and stuff like that. The models that I have used are the 10.5-inch iPad Pro and the 15-inch base model MacBook Pro. I completed the whole first semester using the MacBook Pro as a place to type and store all my notes, download all my textbooks on there, and then the entire second semester I used my iPad for the same purpose. So I'm going to start with the pros of each device. So I'm going to start with the MacBook Pro. A huge advantage of this over the iPad was screen real estate. So on the Mac I can have two windows open easily and have them both be a decent size, whereas on the iPad, because it's a smaller screen, working in split screen mode, it becomes crammed pretty fast. A third pro to working on a MacBook is how all of your notes are typed out and they are neat. When I am writing, especially in a lecture, I'm not paying attention to my handwriting, I'm just kind of subconsciously doing it. So sometimes I will go back, I will actually have a hard time reading what I was writing, and if I don't remember it, then I'm a little screwed. Okay, another area that I think that the MacBook Pro is better for is online courses. This summer I took 3 online courses and truly I have not picked up my iPad once. Like, I've done it strictly from my laptop, and my school uses Canvas. I don't know if your school might use Blackboard. I don't really know how that works, but as far as Canvas, some of the questions on quizzes aren't optimized for mobile devices like tablets or phones. It's actually better to sit down on the computer and do those questions. So now I'm going to talk about some pros of the iPad. The first one I could definitely think of is its size. It is incredibly light. I keep a cover on it. Even with that, it's still so much lighter and I could just slip it in my backpack and just go. Another huge thing, this is of course with the Apple Pencil, but I'm going to get into that a little later, is how nice it is just writing on the screen. It is so easy and it's so seamless. You know, there's no lag time and it's really like you're writing on a piece of paper. You know, now you're not carrying around a notebook filled with paper. I always actually had a problem with losing papers. I would be studying notes at home and then I would leave them on the desk. I did that all the time and I have not ran into that since I switched over to just taking my notes and keeping them solely on my iPad, because as long as I have it with me, I have all my notes in every one of my classes, which is so nice, and it has definitely made me such a more organized student. Another thing that is nice about this is downloading your textbooks. I was not the biggest fan of using them on my computer just because I like to swipe as I needed to, and there's just something about being able to just flip the page, highlight it where you want to with your finger or with the Apple Pencil. Essentially, something that has definitely helped me so much is you can actually download files onto this and write on them directly, or open up a PDF file and annotate it directly. I did that in my English class. It helped a lot rather than having to print out whatever I was doing just to be able to handwrite on it. So whenever I can, I actually download the PowerPoints that my instructors will use in lecture and I will just write on them directly, and it saves me so much time rather than copying down everything that they do and then writing their lecture notes. I struggled so much with writing down everything that was on the PowerPoint and then also writing down everything that the instructor was saying that wasn't on the PowerPoint, and so my first test in college I really flopped on because I basically wrote down all the wrong things. I was just copying the PowerPoint. So now that I've gone over the pros of using each one, I'm going to go over the cons of each one. So with the computer, the first thing is in a lecture hall, sometimes it gets really quiet and the fans on my computer would decide to turn on, and I know that Apple definitely thinks that they have some quiet fans, and they don't. They're really loud, and I felt like all eyes would just turn to me, and I wasn't doing anything super draining. I was on Microsoft Word just typing a document, and I would have to shut my computer off and put it in my bag and just listen and try and remember the lecture. This happened quite a few times, which was really unfortunate. Another thing that was a con about this, and it goes back to the same kind of silent lecture hall, is the keyboard is really loud. and even if you're trying to type quietly, it's still loud, and you truly feel like you are being kind of disruptive with it. Another thing that I'm actually going to touch on is the size. I have the 15-inch computer, so I know that it was going to be bigger, but I'm actually going to talk about the weight. So even the 13-inch is 3 pounds, and then mine is 4 pounds, and you can definitely feel it when you put it in your bag. It's pretty heavy, and on days when I wouldn't have it, my backpack would just feel so much lighter. So now I'm going to talk about some cons of the iPad. The first I'm actually going to talk about is the pricing. The 10.5-inch model starts at $649, but I don't really think that it is $649 because to use most of the features that I'm talking about, you do need the Apple Pencil as well as the smart keyboard or another kind of Bluetooth keyboard, and those range anywhere between $100 and $200. I don't necessarily ever say that this is $650. I say that it's upwards of $900, which is fairly expensive, but to really unlock all the features of the iPad Pro, I think that these are definitely essential, especially the Apple Pencil. If you don't have this, note-taking is going to be extremely difficult. Or if you don't have the keyboard, typing out Word documents is going to also be difficult. So another con of the iPad is that the iPad runs an iOS software. Now, I do know with iOS 11 and 12, hopefully, that Apple really has been distinguishing certain features for the iPad and really making it perform more like a computer than a mobile phone. However, it does not have the full capabilities. So the last con that I can think of is this. Who at Apple let this slide? In the box, it did come with this little charging adapter, and I lose that at least once a month. Like right now it's lost. So this is currently how I have to charge my Apple Pencil, and it's so inconvenient. They should have put like a little cable or something that you could attach to it, because this is just definitely a huge design flaw. It's almost like the Magic Mouse, where it has the lightning adapter on the bottom so you can't actually use it while charging. I don't know how that or this left the idea table at Apple. So after using the MacBook Pro for one semester and the iPad Pro for another to take all my notes on and store them, for school purposes, I would recommend actually the iPad over the MacBook 100%. The MacBook Pro is an extremely powerful and capable device. However, just for my simple kind of everyday in the classroom use, it definitely falls flat. So I would definitely recommend the iPad Pro. However, if you do buy it, you are gonna have to also buy at least the Apple Pencil, if not also the keyboard, to use it as your full computer. So now I'm gonna actually share with you some recommendations on using the iPad in the classroom, because it was definitely a learning curve for me, and it was so different than anything else I had done. So the first thing I'm actually gonna point out is kind of writing on it. Writing on it was definitely a learning curve for me. My notes started off very bad. I couldn't even read my notes because they were so bad, and it's just something that you get better at with time, and you know, as you take more notes, you learn how it works for you. You'll end up getting the hang of it. Another thing is that you can put your palm on it. It comes with palm rejection. That was another thing that I had such a hard time grasping, was I could actually drag my hand on the screen when I was writing and it wouldn't make a mark. I thought for at least the first 2 months I was using it that it would, so it was very uncomfortable to write with, and I found myself just writing on paper more. Another thing that I'm gonna say is the Notes app isn't the best. I use an app called Penultimate, which I pay a little bit for every month, and I get unlimited cloud storage, and it's really good in that sense that it is meant for handwriting notes, whereas the Notes app is made for typing out notes. Another thing that I'm gonna say is I would actually wait to buy any kind of device until you have actually read through any syllabi you get and gone to the first class and asked if you can use them, because I know that there is kind of growing opposition to having electronics in the classroom of any kind. And so I've never had an instructor have an issue with me taking notes on my computer or my iPad, but I do know that there are some at my campus that would say no if I asked. So that is all. I definitely think that if you are going to buy one or the other for school, I would recommend the iPad with the accessories. It can really do everything that the MacBook Pro can do. I really hope that you liked this video and found it helpful. Overall, thank you so much for watching. If you like this in any way, make sure to subscribe, and also, more importantly, hit the like button, because I am new to this, so it really does kind of give me some feedback in what I'm doing right. That is all. I will hopefully see you in the next video, but until then, bye.